Hey parents, it's Teacher Annette from Preschool 2. Today I'm going to be talking about the learning activity for the language and communication domain for Monday week 6. This one is a really good way to build bonds with your child and to strengthen their language skills at the same time. So the activity is: have a conversation about something that interests the child, such as a favorite character, toy, or TV show. Extend the conversation by adding comments and asking questions for the child to answer, such as, "Wow, you're right. Blaze the monster truck can do flips. How do you think he does that? Do you think a pickup truck could do this? Or could do flips? Why?" For both younger and older preschoolers, the goal is to make conversations longer. The length will vary for each child. So repeating and extending is a technique that we use in preschool to strengthen those communication skills, those thinking skills. And it's literally what we just read, which, you may paraphrase what the child said, and you just add on to it with more statements and more questions. And this one is really good because it's really important to children when an adult takes an interest in their interests. They really like to talk about the things that they like and their favorite shows, their favorite toys, their favorite characters, their favorite movies. So this is a conversation topic that they're going to be excited about and won't be as likely to get bored with as maybe some other conversation topics. That being said, it doesn't mean that they won't get bored of it at some point, and there is a point where you can kind of tell that your child just isn't interested in continuing anymore, and that's okay. This isn't like a one-time thing to do. This is something that you can do through almost any conversation that you have with your child, but centering it around a favorite thing of your child's is what makes it really special. And if you don't know much about it, this is the perfect time to model asking questions. You can ask, what can you tell me about your toy? What can you tell me about your doll, about your stuffed animal, about your what can you tell me about your favorite show? Like, what can you tell me about PJ Masks? What can you tell me about Toy Story? What can you tell me about Frozen? And some of these things you maybe already know about, but you could still ask these questions to kind of just get a conversation going. Or, if you already kind of engage in the content with your child, you can ask things like, "Oh, why is Elsa your favorite character in Frozen?" Or something like, "Why is Mario your favorite video game? What do you like about it?" And maybe they'll say something like, "I like Elsa because she makes ice with her hands." And you can say, "Oh my goodness, that's right, she does. And how do you think she does that?" And maybe they say magic. And you can say, "Now, is that something that we can do in real life? Does magic really exist like that?" And you just kind of talk about this, and this is a really good way to start discussing the differences between fiction and reality, because media, TV shows and movies especially, but toys and video games, so many things really influence how children see the world. And if they're consuming media that maybe doesn't portray things accurately, even educational shows, they cross over into the realm of fantasy, which is fine. I mean, we all like, well, most of us, I'm sure, like, to engage in a world, reality that doesn't really exist. When we go see movies, no matter how close to reality it is, we know that it doesn't exist, and that there are things in the movies that are not applicable to real life. So this is a good place to start discussing those differences, differences, and it really helps to strengthen that critical thinking about what is real and what is fake. And this is also a good place to start talking about whether things depicted in fiction are things that we agree with or not, things that we want to do in our daily lives or not, things that are okay or not. So in the Junie B. Jones books, she tends to use the word dumb a lot, or dummy. Now, at the kindergarten I interned with, the teacher would read these books to her students, and every time they opened the book to read, they talked about, the usage of, or Junie's usage of this word that is not a nice word, and why it's not a nice word, that it hurts people's feelings, and that this wasn't a word we were going to use, or else we wouldn't be able to read Junie B. Jones for a while, because we had to learn that just because we see it in a show or in a book or in a movie, that it doesn't mean it's okay for us to do. So, in my experience, growing up, so in my experience growing up, there were certain things that I wasn't allowed to watch or read or play with, and that's fine. I mean, it's totally your choice as a parent whether you want your child to consume something or not, but it's important to know that at some point they will be exposed to it, especially if it's something popular, whether it's through their peers or on their own, because children tend to, especially the older they get, when you ban something, then they really want to do it more. And with the things that I was allowed to watch or to read or whatever, my parents would sit with us and, talk about, what was or wasn't okay, pointing out sexist or racist comments in movies and stuff. And, it's really important that you're the one who models that. There are some things that, sometimes people laugh at that is not really okay to laugh at. So, yeah, I really like this suggestion. It is really a good way to bond with your children and to set a precedent for them to continue to share their interests with you, as they get older, and to have hopefully a strong enough bond in that aspect that they continue to share their interests with you throughout middle school or junior high or high school, and that you can have civil and critical discussions about the media that they consume and how they feel about things in it that are maybe not what you would approve of. And all this isn't to say that, there is nothing that you should, restrict your child from, because there definitely is, and there are definitely things that you might not want them to watch when they're 5, but you would be okay with it when they're 10. So, it's really up to you and your discretion. And I think what's really important is just having these discussions, and I think it will really lessen the impact of the things that they can't watch if you are sitting with them and talking about the things that they can watch or play or read or anything like that. I hope this was a helpful video and that it's something that you feel like you can easily adapt in your everyday life. Like everything else, all these other activities, it does take some practice. And, there's always room for mistakes, but please don't be afraid to try, because I think this one is, like all the videos I've done, it is definitely important. I'll talk to you again later. Bye.